Hello, beloveds, and welcome back to the Enlightened podcast. I am your host, Uluyanda Kumbuza, and I'm super excited to be bringing you another guest episode. Today, we're discussing all things women and soft power in the workplace. Now, I think previously, when we think of power, we're conditioned to associate it with dominance, visibility, and loud authority. But soft power looks something like empathy, intuition, influence, as well as resilient. And it is quietly shaping the boardrooms, the career for generations to come, and even the policies. Especially when it comes to women in leadership, soft power is no longer optional, but it's now essential. Which brings me to my phenomenal guest. Guys, let's say straight. Pom 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 pom. Avusha Zulu. Mnandi. Oh, I love a Zulu girl. I'm so happy to welcome Dr. Saneh Ngidi, who's a force in leadership strategy and transformation. She spends decades influencing change within the boardrooms, government spaces, as well as across the continent, always grounded in values, purpose, and people. She's not just a thought leader. She is a lived example of leading with intention and impact. Dr. Saneh, welcome.
Thank you. I love that intro. I must walk around with you and you must introduce me like that.
Before on any stage.
Let's
take it back. I think now it's so easy to focus on the titles, focus on all the brilliant work that you've done. But I'm so interested in the background, where it all started. So
it's funny because I've been in Joburg now for 25 years. Let's not say that too loudly. And whenever I introduce myself, I always say I'm from Durban originally, and I've been in Joburg for 25 years now. So I can't let go of that. All great things come from KZN.
Yeah.
But I always start my story by speaking about my parents, because I think they set the grounding of who I really became. And also, I consider myself to be extremely privileged because of the background of my parents. So my mother was the daughter of a school principal, Mzimkulu, rural area, but always grounded in them was the importance of education. So I have this beautiful photo of my mom and my aunts in the 70s in graduation gowns. And for me, that's the vision I had of women, that you do amazing things, And my mother went on, she first became a social worker, then she became a guidance counselor, then she started her own recruitment agency, and it became a huge national organization. And so for me, just that part of my mother is what inspires me and keeps me going. And then my father was one of the very first Black accountants. He was going overseas in the 80s. So, and then he went on to open his own practice and then worked with my mother. And so from a very young age, I just knew that if you work really hard, it pays off. I know the context is different now for the youth. I know it's very different. The market is different, but that's the background I came from. My parents worked extremely hard to make sure that I went to the best schools. I went to university. They paid for it. So I started life with no debt. And when I think of the youth today, those things are important in giving you a head start at life. But having been at an all-girls Catholic school for 10 years, the first chance I got, Ngati, thank you very much. It's been lovely here in KZN. Bye-bye. I'm out. And my sister went to varsity in KZN. She's older than me. And my parents used to drop her off at university every morning, Bamland in Tambam. So I knew there is no way I am studying in KZN. No, I wanted to live. I stayed at home up until matric. I was in a Catholic school. I needed freedom. Came to Joburg, went to Wits, stayed on campus, stayed at a co-ed res. It was living. But I knew to stay there, I had to study.
Yeah.
I had to study. And so studied at Wits, grew at Wits, and formed the person that I am today.
Where are you now?
Sure.
I don't think people are going to believe the personality and when she drops where she is now.
Very chill person.
Yeah.
So
you're such a Vitsy though.
What does that even mean?
Vits people are like this.
Vits people work hard.
Yeah, but Nine personality food on top of that, very
I think
like,
that's a good thing. I'll take it as a compliment.
So like, nifundile kakhulu, but also, like you're relaxed.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're so relaxed.
I think it's always wonderful when I see Vitties who I haven't seen in a long time and you bump into each other and you're like reconnected and you see the amazing things they're doing. Like, yeah. I loved my time with Vits. I studied industrial psychology. So I did my BCom, my honors and my master's in industrial psych. Then I wanted to become an industrial psychologist. So you have to do your board exam. And interestingly enough, how I got the site to do my board exam and my internship actually was through my mother. Multi-Choice used to be one of her clients, spoke to them about the fact that I needed to do my research, did my research there. When I finished my research, they said, if you need an internship, let us know. Did my internship at MultiChoice, and so my career began. And it's not the MultiChoice of today. Like, MultiChoice is massive now. It was a smaller organization. I got to do so much. And I'm like, it's the success story I always tell because I got to get into so much depth across the HR value chain. I got to experiment. There was a lot of trust for me to do work in generalist HR and talent and OD. Like, it was just a wonderful place. Left MultiChoice, and then I began what I call is my career in financial services. And I think I've become a little bit of a financial services HR person. I started at Nedbank. I was at Nedbank for about 6 years, doing OD again, so working with teams, leaders on culture. And then whilst I was at Nedbank, the kind of thing that happens to, I think, a lot of women happened to me. I'd been in Nedbank for 2 years. I was ready for my next change. There was a vacancy in my cluster, but I didn't think I was good enough for it. So I applied for a role somewhere else in group HR. Then I had to tell my boss, listen, I've been shortlisted for that role. They're going to come chat to me. She was like, you're going where? Apply for this job. And I was like, me apply for that job? Like, I can't. And also because I'd seen the predecessor, right? Because I'd worked with her. And I thought, I'm not her. I applied, I got the job. And the reality is, I'm not her. I wasn't going to lead the way that she leads. But I was more than capable of doing the role. And that kind of started my leadership experience, which spurred my PhD. Because then, number one, I'm in my 20s, so I'm young. I'm Black. I'm female. I'm on an executive team with largely older white males. And then I realized when I look around the table and I look at leadership roles, women, and especially women of color, they're not in the roles of deal maker or running revenue generating businesses. They're in HR, ops, finance, in the support functions. So we're doing well in terms of getting into leadership roles, but are they the roles that are going to generate the next CEO? No. And so that's when I did my PhD in perceptions held towards African female leaders. So these women who sit within financial services, what are their stories? What do people think of them? What's made them successful? So I interviewed 10 Black females at either reporting to the CEO or divisional exec. And then I did a survey also to look at the qualities. And I think my takeaway from that was my experience was not unique. A lot of them did not think they were ready for that next move, and they had a sponsor who really pushed them, or they had a coach who they were in conversation with. And so how do we create spaces where women are willing to take the leap when we don't think we're ready to, but we're more than capable of doing those particular roles? Another thing, there were so few of them, but they weren't connected to each other. So how do we form relationships and connections to help each other out? Because the boys do it so well. So why don't we do that?
Over
100%.
Like,
and there was this tension between, hey, I made it. I really want to pull up the next Black woman.
But to a certain...
Or there are others who are like, do you know what it took for me to make it? So I don't have time to pull somebody else up. I'm constantly having to prove my worth. I'm constantly trying to get to my next, And so there's something there around belief in our own capabilities, creating opportunities for each other, and just being intentional. So then I went to R&B, looking after HR for global markets, and I finished my research there again. Executive team. When I got interviewed, I think it was probably about 9 or 10 white males and 1 white female. And then she left the leadership team to take on another part of the business. And then there's me. So again, like just the same narrative, Then I left R&B, finished off my PhD. I had done the corporate thing, and I thought, I'm out of corporate. Let me give something else a try. Went into management consulting. What a time to be alive.
Personality,
Yes, being able to do different types of work, from coaching to leadership assessment to board effectiveness to working with individuals and teams. And I realized I like this. I like the creativity of being able to do different work. And it was when I was at that organization at Hydrick and Struggles that I got into understanding this thing about foundations. Applied for a job, and then I joined the Gates Foundation, where I am now, and like just get to support the team in doing inspiring work. And then I think in finding myself coming out of that like management consulting into the foundation, I'd realized in management consulting, my career can't just be my job. I want more.
Sure.
And so I really got into volunteering at SIOPSA, the Society for Industrial and Organisational Psychology of South Africa, where I am now president from the 1st of August.
We need a horn. We need a horn.
Which is crazy. And I also started lecturing. So I started lecturing on a master's module at the University of Pretoria. And like, I look at the people that I lecture with, and even at the SIOPSA conference last week, one of the things I said in my speech was the fact that I am president means that leadership and opportunities are not for a select few.
Sure.
There is opportunity for all of us. And I hope I am representation that you can take the leap into what you really want. So, yeah.
If you can pull from your story, maybe 3 characteristics that you, another woman as for you to climb in this ladder, and you, as you navigate your career, these 3 tools are key or have worked for you.
Number 1, put your hand up for everything. Volunteer for everything. I did everything at work. Do you know what I mean? If they needed somebody to do something extra, I was there, and that creates more opportunities for you.
Yeah.
SIOPSA, it's a volunteer organization.
Sure.
And it creates opportunities. You learn, you stretch, you get to give back. So I think for me, the one thing is opportunities are there. You have to put your hand up for it. I think the second thing is do it even if you're scared.
Yeah. No, that's a big one.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
Even if you're scared.
Been pushing.
There are situations I find myself in and I am like, sure, this is big, but people think I can do it. So of course I can do it. And yeah. And then I'd say the third piece is, I say this to new joiners at work also. I always say to them, give yourself some grace and don't be afraid to ask for help. I remember when I first joined the foundation, I think I was working myself backwards to try figure things out, how things worked, etc. Now, if I don't know something, I don't spend hours or days trying to figure it out. If I don't know something, I call somebody, I text somebody, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know this thing. How can you help me? Do you know it? And I think we all want to show up as competent and prove ourselves. Give yourself some grace. We all had to start somewhere. So, yeah.
Let's start off with this idea of soft power, right? And I think, it's been so good. And I saw somebody yesterday, you tagged me on a post.
Yes.
I'm like, they are laying the foundation for me.
100%.
This conversation is going to be nice. When you hear that term, especially in the context of workplace and leadership specifically as a woman, what comes to mind?
So the first thing is this shift, right? Like soft skills was this thing that people used to say in the 80s, 90s or whatever. Like there's hard skills which are important, which drive performance in an organization and make us successful. And then there's soft skills. There's HR and then those other things which are soft skills. And other people will do those things. The reality is, well, we've got AI, we've got technology that's coming to do a lot of that stuff. And what AI can't do is soft skills, right? And we're not in the industrial revolution, command and control. I am the leader, thou shalt, because I said so. That is not how individuals lead are motivated, inspired. People want psychological safety. They look for meaning and purpose in their work. It's not enough to just say, do the job. Why am I doing the job? And I think from an HR perspective, the one thing I always try to get across is like, we can do really hard things in organizations.
Sure.
We can make really tough decisions. We can do things that have real people impact. And it can land completely differently based on your how.
Oh.
So your what, anybody can do a what, right?
Sure.
But the how.
Yeah.
The how you can tell me my job is changing and I can leave that conversation like, hey, guys, my job changed and you know what? It's okay. Why? Because you saw me as an individual. You had empathy towards me. You came to speak to me. You engaged me. I felt like I was having a human conversation. Or you can tell me, Saneh, your job's changed. And then I'm completely disengaged, not interested. So those soft skills are really what inspires people.
Sure. So many women are now leading with empathy, with grace, with intuition, influence. Yet these qualities sometimes are misunderstood or even undervalued.
Yeah.
Because we're so used to the authority, the loud power. How can women start embracing the soft power without feeling the need to just harden themselves in order to be heard or even taken seriously?
Yeah, I think it's really tough. And that makes me think of financial services, right? Right? It's like...
it there.
It's a boys' club.
Yeah.
It is such a boys' club. And especially when you are like the only female,
Sure.
you have to hold that line between, I want to show up as my authentic self. Like, this is me. I'm playful. I'm jovial. It doesn't matter where you find me. This is how I'm going to show up. And it's being able to sit in your authenticity, knowing that I lead best when I show up, leading from the place of being authentic, bringing my soft side, my genuine side. And it's actually interesting that the leaders, even the male leaders who stand out as really inspiring, they're not necessarily the ones who had the biggest P&L or whatever.
Yeah.
It's the ones who had an impact because of the kind of leaders they were. And that's the soft stuff.
Sure. That's so true. It's never the iron fist Hitler guys.
Yes. Like, we made a lot of money. It was so great that year. I will never forget how much money we made. No, that's not the leader you're remembering.
So you've worked in an incredibly high pressure, environment as a leader, right? And I think that I'm curious to know how you've seen this soft power sort of show up and succeed.
Yeah.
Especially when we look at financial services where traditionally it's not soft.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's been wonderful to see this transition where for somebody to be recognized as a credible leader, the go-to thing was like, they must have an MBA or they must, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, when leaders are trying to refine how they show up or step into the next, what do?
Sure.
They get a coach.
Yeah.
To work on their own self-awareness and how they show up. They learn storytelling. How do I make myself relatable?
Connect.
And so even seeing that shift around like what we perceived as what would make leaders successful versus what makes leaders successful now. One that really stands out for me was when I was at RMB and we were in the middle of a change process and we're working with Ashburton. And we had a change management session and the CEO of Ashburton came to speak to us. He didn't stand at a podium. He came. He stood at the front of the table, sat on the table, and he was just like, I know this is tough. It's tough for me as well. By the time he had left that, I was like, that is a leader. That is a leader. It was authentic. He was vulnerable and shared the things that he was scared about, the things that were uncertain. And that leaves you believing in leadership, believing that you can trust leadership, that there is openness, that there's credibility. And so I think it's just been beautiful to watch how we value leadership differently.
Sure.
And even that piece of like, I love the fact that I'm Miss Strong and Independent, but I don't always want to be Miss Strong and Independent. I don't want to be Miss Strong and Independent.
I can Bogoto for certain moments,
yes.
opportunities, but I'm not in Bogoto every day.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And we need leaders who are humane so that they see teams, individuals, organizations as being filled of human beings.
What role does self-trust and self-awareness play when it comes to developing this soft power as a leadership strategy? And this is for women. I'm speaking to women. This is for you, like guys tomorrow. But today we're dealing with the women.
So self-awareness is a it's the minimum requirement for any leader. Okay, before I even get to
non-negotiable.
Self-awareness, the ability to self-reflect, the ability to step back and be like, how did I show up in that situation? What did I do well? What can I do better? The ability to listen to what other people have said and being like, I disagree with you, but I'm going to take that kernel and think about it and come back. That makes a great leader, right? The ability to 100% believe in something and do it, and it flops, and come back and be like, you know what? I reflected. That wasn't a great move. What are we going to do differently? So I think even if you think in the context of transformation in our country and dealing with diversity and handling biases, you will find yourself in situations you've never been in. You might respond in a way that you're not comfortable with, but the ability to self-reflect and come back and be like, I learned something about myself is critical. Then for women specifically, that self-trust, sure.
Can't live without it.
You can't live without it. And I credit any human being, but any woman who's able to sit in that self-trust and that self-belief. Sure. Because I think often when you are in that place where I believe in my capabilities, I trust my internal voice, I know myself, you may, let me not say everybody, you may get labeled as arrogant, self-absorbed, overconfident. Do you know what I mean? And you take a woman who is confident in her abilities, knows how she can show up. You take a man who shows up the same way. He is confident and strong. She is arrogant and a bully. And so there is something about women where you must believe in your own capabilities, believe in your own voice. That ability to self-reflect allows you to check yourself. But if there's one thing we need to be able to build in women, is that believe in your credibility, trust yourself, don't let others build you down. You are where you are because of your voice, because of yourself. And so I am where I am, and I have to tell myself this all the time, right? I have to tell myself that, like, yeah, you belong there. Have the voice.
Is it true that in order to get systems, perceptions, biases to change, you need to occupy that space and sort of almost force the change by you being present and representing and being an example of that which is not existent in the company? As somebody that has sat in as a woman or a Black woman, the only one in certain rooms?
You do, but I also feel like it's the baggage we carry.
I
feel like I must, must I always be the voice of Black women? Or must I always be the voice of women? Do you know what I mean? By virtue of the fact that you're the one at the table, yes. Yes, you have to. And you have to make sure that you're creating opportunities for other people. But also don't let that weigh you down. Do you know what I mean? There's a fine balance between that, between enjoying your experience, showing up as you are. And I always say this, like, when there's a consortium when there's a women's forum at work, it's full of women. When there's a Black people's forum of work, it's full of Black people. Why are those the people fighting the good fight? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
For things to really change and for there to be impact, it needs to be driven by leadership. And a women's forum doesn't only have to have women.
Yeah.
Men who are allies should be there fighting the good fight. And so, yes, as the person who is there, don't block opportunities for others. But also, you can't carry the baggage for all people. Like, if you fail, it doesn't mean that all Black women have failed.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I think that's the cross we bear that overwhelms us. And already, without me carrying the weight of who I am at work, there's Black tax. You're already carrying the weight of your family, other people. So yeah, we start the race with baggage.
Yeah.
And we just continue that throughout our careers.
And I guess it weighs us down and makes us tired. For emerging leaders, especially young women, right, that are navigating more of the male-dominated industry, how can they sort of cultivate that soft power in a way that commands the respect?
Sure. I think the first thing, and I don't know how we do this, but the first thing is that, like, removing this negative narrative of soft, right?
Yeah.
Removing this negative narrative that you're a woman, you're coming in, you've got soft power, you're already at a disadvantage. Like, we need to change that.
Language.
You know, you are coming into this environment, you're bringing such great gifts, you're bringing a different perspective, you allow us to approach things from a humane perspective, your lens is important. And so I think how we start to shift the narrative of what are the different things each of us bring to an organization is really, really important. And the other thing is, how do we create spaces and platforms where women get the support that they need? Sure. I mean, I am in such amazing women's networks where the women around the table create opportunities for me. They see me and they're like, Saneh, come do this, etc. And I wish more women had that earlier on in their careers, because it ends up taking you years of experience and opportunities to get there. So how can we give more access, more opportunities to more women? So I always say, I'm that tedious person. If I get a LinkedIn message, I respond to every single LinkedIn message. If somebody asks me for coffee...
And she does, guys.
If somebody asks me for coffee, even if I don't have time, I will find a time to meet that person for coffee, because this person is trying their best. And so I show up in the little way that I can.
You've mentioned being a part of societies and building those ecosystems that sort of help you up. From the top of your mind, not career specific, but are there any sort of communities that women can sort of look into, subscribe to? If somebody's sitting here and watching, I want to be plugged in, but where do I start?
I probably feel like I'm a broken record with this, because whenever people reach out to me and they're like, they don't even have to be in my field, they can be in another field, and they're like, hey, I'm trying to expand my career, or I'm looking for a job and I can't find opportunities. The first thing I say is, what is the professional community first? If you're an accountant, what is your professional community? Go join that. If you're in HR, what is the professional community? Go join that. And I know memberships can be expensive, and I know that can be a barrier to entry. So maybe let's have that chat. But number one, find the community that is going to give you the step up that you need. Join it. Attend the webinars, go to the events, just be present, be with like-minded people. Second thing I always say is, if you don't have opportunities, go to LinkedIn, find people who inspire you, message them. Can I have a coffee with you? Where can you plug me in? I'm interested. All we can do is ask. There might not always be a community for everything, but people are willing to give of their time and effort.
Sure. You know, I always say, Gutamina, it's very rare that I actually will sit down with the person, but I'm able to be mentored by just watching the little things that they do, like picking up on those subtle traits and habits that are helping them build. So sometimes you don't necessarily have to speak to the person, but you can just study the behavior.
100%.
And you study the habits and you just master those things, and it will get you in the room as well.
I mean, a lot of times I meet women and I'll be like, oh my gosh, I absolutely love you. I've been following you. You've done this and this and this and this. And it's inspired me, because it's 100% that. I follow people who are doing the things that I want to do, who are showing up as the leaders that I want to be like one day. And I follow them and I learn from them.
Sure. So you've been part of major transformation across the sectors, right? Can you share examples maybe of where you've seen soft power have a lasting change, where it actually works?
I think I'm going to talk about this in two different ways. One where it's a female, because that's what we want to see. And so I'm going to take it to my, first of all, my Nedbank days. My Nedbank days, the HR executive for the Wealth Cluster was Patiswa. She's now a friend. She was just really a force, you know, a woman who stands her own, is strong within a leadership team. And I reported to Patiswa, and one of the things that I will I always take away is that Patiswa to this day calls me Mdanam, like I am. She is my second mother. That's who she will always be. But she was also very firm. Like when it's work time, it's work time. And I loved that. I loved the fact that I could be my true authentic self, that if I was struggling, I could tell her, that she would care about what's happening in my personal life, but that she would push me in my career. And I think that's the thing about the soft power piece, that you can hold your own, you can be there, but you don't have to lose the soft side of it. And the other one is, if you look at R&B now, and Emery Brown is the CEO of R&B, and she's female, and she's been in R&B for so many years. And seeing her be able to be in the league, climbing through the ranks, but still being credible, but holding on to her femininity, those are the things that make me believe that you can be yourself authentically and still be credible, and your work will pay off for it.
Sure. Absolutely love that. Guys, the shift is really, it's there, it's happening, whether you see it or not or believe it. But our conversation is coming to a close, but I really, really want to just leave now our audience with practical nuggets that they can start utilizing, right? And before we do that, in the broader leadership conversation, how do we make room for new leadership models that will value, you know, the soft power, as strategic, but not just a support, as we've seen it play out previously?
Starts with leadership. It has to start with leadership. Because often individuals or teams will ask, like, can we create bottom-up change? You can create bottom-up change, but only to a certain extent, right? Because where the decisions are being made, where culture is being driven from, is leadership. And so we have to work really hard with leaders in order to change perspectives. If you take it out of the corporate sector and you put it into civil society, we can run riot trying to have change, but if our governments don't change, there is little impact that we can have. And so each of us, as we step into leadership roles, what role are we playing to change the narrative, to influence it? And how do we work with leadership teams to be able to change that? And so it definitely starts with leadership and how we value that, how we recognize that behavior. Which leader are we holding on a pedestal? Is it the one who's making money, or is it the one who treats employees and human beings really well? So I think it starts with leadership. And we all, wherever you are, whatever little leadership role you're playing, you have a role to play.
Sure. I want us, before we close off, to also just reimagine or imagine the future and what it looks like now. What kind of workplaces would we build if soft power was not just accepted, but it was rewarded?
Sure. Listen, first of all,
just the thought of it is...
Number one, ChatGPT is doing everything now, right? AI is doing everything. ChatGPT, am I having a good day? ChatGPT, what should I be saying? The technology will be there. It will do the things. But what will create the environment is the leadership. And that is, when you come to work, Leanda, do you feel seen?
Yeah.
Do you feel like you can bring your whole self to work? Do you feel as if when you can work really hard, but like for me, I can work really hard, but this morning there was a neurodiversity coffee morning at my daughter's school. And as I went to that coffee morning, I thought, yo, I'm so glad I work in an organization where I can go to a coffee morning for my daughter, and my organization appreciates that. And so I think organizations of the future, the differentiator is going to be the soft skills. Those are the skills of the future.
Sure.
That's what AI technology... It can try and learn it, it can mirror it, it can mimic it, but it cannot be genuinely emotionally intelligent.
All right. We're closing. I promise. It's Women's Man.
Yes.
Our episode is going live now in August. And I think it's my Women's Day gift to you, Women's Month gift to you as my audience. And if you could leave our listeners with just, especially women, with one reminder about leadership and power, what would that be?
Sure. I think this is a message that I often give, and it's a message I tell myself when I am in doubt or I'm feeling insecure, is that there's only one you.
Sure.
You are a masterpiece. And so stay to your authenticity. Don't try and mimic and be like other individuals. The magic that you bring to any situation is your authenticity. It's who you are. It's your uniqueness in thought. And so at times it can feel like maybe I should show up differently to fit in or to get ahead.
Yeah.
It'll only take you so far. Sit in your authenticity. Believe in your softness, in those skills and credibility you bring. It'll pay off.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I don't want the conversation to end. We have to do this again.
I'll come back.
Guys, we can all hold her to her words, right? Thank you so, so much. This has been incredible. For somebody that wants to connect with you, follow you, where can they find you?
You can find me on LinkedIn, Dr. Saneh Ngidi. You can find me on Instagram, Ngisamila. So yeah, I'm always open to communicate. Hit me up.
Yay. Thank you so much. This conversation for me, I think it really just also reminded me that real power is not necessarily about dominance, but about direction. This has been the Enlightened Podcast. I am your host, Ulianda Kumbuza. Until next time, bye.